word Nordic derives from Norden, meaning north, in Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish. This region includes the countries of Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Iceland, each sharing a heritage shaped by fierce winters, seafaring traditions, and strong monarchies. While each country has its own unique identity, Nordic castles were often built to guard trade routes, assert royal power, or serve as lavish homes for monarchs and nobility. Scattered across the dramatic landscapes of Northern Europe, Nordic castles tell stories of Viking roots, medieval power, and royal ambition. So, stay with us for a few moments as we explore some of the most amazing Nordic castles. Olavinlinna Castle, Finland. The Olavinlinna Castle is the northernmost medieval stone fortress still standing today. Located in Savonlinna in Finland, this imposing castle was founded in 1475 by Danish knight Erik Axelsson to protect Sweden's eastern frontier from Russian invasions. Built on a rocky island in Lake Saimaa, its strategic location made it nearly impenetrable, with thick stone walls and 3 massive round towers designed to withstand cannon fire. Olavinlinna played a crucial role in the Swedish-Russian wars, enduring several sieges, including those in 1495, 1555, and 1656. In 1743, it was ceded to Russia after the Treaty of Abo, marking a shift in regional power. Over the centuries, Olavinlinna transitioned from a military stronghold to a cultural icon. Today, it is best known for hosting the world-famous Savonlinna Opera Festival, where world-class performances take place within its medieval walls. You can explore the castle's towers, dungeons, and historical exhibitions, offering a glimpse into Finland's medieval past. The breathtaking lake setting, combined with its rich history and cultural significance, makes Olavinlinna one of Finland's most treasured landmarks. Kalmar Castle, Sweden. Situated on Sweden's southeastern coast, Kalmar Castle has stood as a formidable stronghold for over 800 years, earning its reputation as the key to the kingdom due to its strategic location. Originally built as a simple defensive tower in the 12th century, the castle was gradually expanded into a powerful fortress under King Magnus Ladulås in the late 13th century. In 1397, it became the site of the historic Kalmar Union, a political agreement that united Sweden, Denmark, and Norway under one ruler, Queen Margrethe I, for over a century. Throughout the years, Kalmar Castle endured multiple sieges, particularly during the Northern Seven Years' War from 1563 to 1570, when it was attacked by Danish forces. Under King Gustav Vasa and his sons, the castle was transformed into a magnificent Renaissance palace, featuring grand banquet halls, intricate frescoes, and advanced fortifications. Today, you can explore the castle's richly decorated royal chambers, medieval dungeons, and impressive defensive towers. The castle also hosts exhibitions on Swedish history, interactive medieval reenactments, and seasonal events, making it a vibrant historical destination. Frederiksborg Castle, Denmark. Located in Hillerød, Frederiksborg Castle is a stunning example of Renaissance architecture and the largest castle in Scandinavia. Built in the early 17th century by King Christian IV, the castle now houses the Museum of National History. The museum's vast collection includes portraits, historical paintings, and decorative arts that span over 500 years of Danish history. The castle's interior is richly adorned with intricate woodwork, ornate ceilings, and beautiful tapestries. One of the highlights is the castle chapel, which survived a devastating fire in 1859 and features a magnificent Baroque organ. The surrounding Baroque garden, with its meticulously manicured hedges and beautiful fountains, is perfect peaceful retreat. You can take a leisurely boat ride on the castle lake to enjoy picturesque views of the castle and its reflection in the water. The nearby town of Hillerød provides additional attractions, including charming shops, cafes, and the scenic Frederiksborg Castle Gardens. Akershus Fortress, Norway. Standing proudly on the Oslo fjord, Akershus Fortress is one of Norway's most iconic and historically significant castles. Built in the late 13th century by King Håkon V to protect Oslo and assert royal power, the fortress has served many roles over the centuries as a royal residence, a military base, and even a prison. This medieval stronghold has withstood multiple sieges, including attempted invasions by Swedish forces. It was later transformed into a Renaissance-style castle under King Christian IV in the early 1600s. Today, Akershus is a popular tourist attraction, offering visitors a glimpse into Norway's military history, royal traditions, and stunning views over the harbor. With its imposing stone walls, dark dungeons, and royal chambers, Akershus Fortress is a powerful reminder of Norway's storied past and enduring strength. Örebro Castle, Sweden. Imagine a world where a castle walls could talk. Then the Örebro Castle would tell tales of medieval kings, political intrigue, and dramatic battles that shaped Sweden's history. Located in the heart of Örebro, this majestic castle dates back to the late 13th century when it was initially constructed as a fortress on an island in the Svartån River. Built to control vital trade routes and defend against invaders, the stronghold was expanded and reinforced by King Magnus Eriksson in the 14th century. However, it was during the reign of King Gustav Vasa in the 16th century that the castle was transformed into a grand Renaissance residence, symbolizing Sweden's growing power. Örebro Castle has witnessed key historical events, including the meeting of the Riksdag, the Swedish parliament, in 1810, where Jean-Baptiste Bernadotte was elected Crown Prince of Sweden, eventually founding the modern Bernadotte dynasty. Today, the castle is a thriving cultural hub, housing exhibitions on Swedish history, ghost tours that reveal its eerie legends, and guided walks through its medieval dungeons and regal halls. You can also enjoy the beautiful surrounding parks, seasonal markets, and the vibrant city life just outside its gates. With its blend of medieval fortifications and Renaissance elegance, Örebro Castle remains one of Sweden's most fascinating and historically rich landmarks. Kronborg Castle, Denmark. Immortalized as Elsinore in Shakespeare's Hamlet, The Kronborg Castle is one of Denmark's most renowned cultural landmarks. Located in Helsingør, this magnificent Renaissance castle dates back to the 16th century and is considered as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Make sure to explore the opulent royal apartments, the grand ballroom, and the eerie dungeons where the legendary figure Holger Dansk is said to slumber. The castle's Maritime Museum offers insights into Denmark's naval history, and the scenic views of the Øresundstrædet are simply breathtaking. Every summer, the castle's courtyard becomes a stage for world-class performances of Hamlet, bringing the timeless tragedy to life in its historic setting. The surrounding Kronborg grounds are perfect for a leisurely stroll, with well-maintained gardens and picnic areas. The nearby town of Helsingør boasts charming streets, quaint cafes, and the impressive MS Maritime Museum of Denmark, housed in a former dry dock. Turku Castle, Finland. The Turku Castle is the largest surviving medieval building in Finland and has stood for over 700 years. Located at the mouth of the Ora River in Turku, this grand fortress was founded in the late 13th century by the Swedish crown to strengthen its control over Finland. Initially built as a military stronghold, it gradually expanded into a lavish administrative center and royal residence, playing a crucial role in Finland's governance under Swedish rule. Throughout its history, Turku Castle witnessed numerous battles, including attacks during the late medieval conflicts between Sweden and Russia. It also served as a prison, holding notable figures such as Duke John of Finland, who was later crowned King John III of Sweden. The castle suffered damage during the Great Northern War in 1713 and Second World War bombings, but was extensively restored in the 20th century. Today, Turku Castle operates as a museum, offering you a deep dive into Finland's medieval and Renaissance history. Guests can explore its grand banquet halls, eerie dungeons, and beautifully restored royal chambers. The castle also hosts exhibitions, medieval reenactments, and cultural events, making it a must-visit landmark for history lovers and tourists exploring Finland's rich past. Steinvikholm Slott, Norway. Perched on a tiny island in the Trondheimsfjord, this is one of Norway's most important and dramatic medieval castles. Built between 1525 and 1532 by Archbishop Olav Engelbrektsson, it was the last stronghold of the Catholic Church in Norway before the Protestant Reformation swept the country. Steinvikholm served as a political and religious power center during a time of great upheaval. After the Reformation, it was seized by Danish-Norwegian forces and lost its religious significance, but the fortress remained a powerful symbol of resistance and change. Today, its stone ruins still stand proudly on the island, accessible via a footbridge. In summer, the site hosts historical reenactments and open-air operas, bringing medieval Norway to life. Though weathered by time, Steinvikholm Slott remains a hauntingly beautiful reminder of Norway's medieval past and the turbulent shift from Catholicism to Lutheranism. Rosenborg Castle, Denmark. Constructed in the early 17th century as a pleasure palace by King Christian IV, one of Denmark's most ambitious and influential monarchs, Rosenborg Castle stands as a stunning example of Dutch Renaissance architecture. Completed in 1624, this fairy tale castle was designed not as a military fortress but as a lavish royal residence meant for relaxation and entertainment. Over time, however, it became a treasury of Denmark's most precious artifacts. Today, it is home to the Danish crown regalia, including the breathtaking crown of Christian V, encrusted with diamonds, pearls, and rubies. One of the most fascinating historical events linked to Rosenborg is its role during the British attack on Copenhagen in 1801 and 1807. As war loomed over Denmark, the castle was used to safeguard vital state documents and royal treasures. You can explore its richly decorated rooms, including the Great Hall, where the coronation thrones are guarded by 3 life-sized silver lions. The castle is surrounded by the beautiful King's Garden, which is Denmark's oldest royal gardens, where you can enjoy leisurely walks among sculptures, flower beds, and manicured hedges. Läckö Castle, Sweden. With its white towers rising over the shores of Lake Vänern, Sweden's largest lake, Läckö Castle looks like something straight out of a fairy tale. Originally built as a fortress in 1298 by Bishop Brynolf Algotsson, the castle was later expanded into a grand Baroque palace by Count Magnus Gabriel de la Gardie in the 17th century. Throughout its history, Läckö Castle played a significant role in Sweden's military and religious conflicts, especially during the Protestant Reformation when it was seized from the Catholic Church and became a noble estate. Today, the castle is famous for its breathtaking location, beautifully preserved Baroque interiors, and stunning gardens. You can explore its lavishly decorated halls, intricate ceiling frescoes, and historic kitchens, which showcase life in the Swedish nobility's golden age. Läckö Castle is also a cultural hotspot, hosting summer opera performances, medieval festivals, and guided ghost tours that delve into its mysterious past. With its dramatic setting on a rocky peninsula and its rich architectural beauty, Läckö Castle is one of Sweden's most picturesque and historically significant landmarks. Egeskov Castle, Denmark. This is one of the best-preserved Renaissance water castles in Europe, and it still stands on wooden piles submerged in a lake. Located on the island of Funen, this stunning castle was built in 1554 by nobleman Frans Brockenhus during a time of political unrest. Designed as a defensive stronghold, Egeskov's unique construction includes a double wall system with hidden staircases and secret escape routes, ensuring protection in case of attack. The castle's foundation is an engineering marvel. Wooden oak piles driven deep into the lakebed have kept it standing for nearly 500 years, giving it the name Egeskov, which means oak forest in Danish, a reference to the massive amount of oak timber used. Today, Egeskov Castle is a living piece of history and one of Denmark's most visited attractions. The interior transports visitors back in time with its well-preserved banquet halls, antique furniture, and the famous Titania's Palace, an intricate dollhouse said to be the most elaborate in the world. The castle's grounds are equally spectacular, featuring beautifully landscaped gardens, hedge mazes, and Denmark's oldest preserved moat system. Egeskov Castle is a must-visit destination that blends Renaissance elegance with modern-day attractions. Häme Castle, Finland. This is one of Finland's oldest and most well-preserved medieval castles, dating back to the late 13th century. Located in Hämeenlinna, southern Finland, this red brick fortress was originally built by the Swedish crown to solidify its control over the region and protect against possible Russian incursions. Unlike many Finnish castles, which were constructed from stone, Häme Castle is notable for its distinctive red brickwork, a rare feature in Nordic medieval architecture. Over the centuries, it evolved from a military fortress into a noble residence and later served as an administrative center. The castle played a role in several historical conflicts, including the Club War in 1596 to 1597, a Finnish peasant uprising against Swedish rule, and the Great Northern War from 1700 to 1721, during which it suffered significant damage. In the 19th century, the fortress was converted into a prison, a role it retained until the 1950s. Today, Häme Castle is a major historical attraction, housing a museum that explores medieval life, Finnish military history, and the castle's transformation over the centuries. You can walk through its grand halls, climb its towers for panoramic views, and explore its moats and courtyards. The castle also hosts medieval-themed events, exhibitions, and cultural festivals, making it a fascinating destination. Gripsholm Castle, Sweden. This is home to Sweden's National Portrait Gallery, housing over 5,000 paintings of historical figures. Located on the shores of Lake Mälaren in Mariefred, this striking red brick fortress was originally built in 1537 by King Gustav Vasa as part of his efforts to strengthen Sweden's defenses. Over the centuries, Gripsholm Castle served as a royal residence, a prison, and even a military stronghold. One of its most dramatic events occurred in the 16th century when King Eric XIV imprisoned his own brother, Duke John, later known as King John III, within its walls during a power struggle for the Swedish throne. The castle's interiors reflect a mix of medieval, Renaissance, and 18th century styles, with beautifully preserved royal apartments, grand halls, and a stunning theater from the reign of King Gustav III. You can explore its richly decorated chambers, admire the impressive collection of historical portraits, and walk through the scenic Gripsholm Park, home to a herd of royal deer. Hammershus Castle, Denmark. This is the largest medieval fortress ruin in Northern Europe and once played a key role in the power struggles between Denmark, the Church, and foreign invaders. Perched dramatically atop a 74-meter-high cliff on the island of Bornholm, Hammershus Castle was originally built in the late 13th century by the Archbishop of Lund as a stronghold against the Danish crown. Throughout its turbulent history, the fortress changed hands multiple times, serving as a political and military stronghold for bishops, Danish kings, and even Swedish forces. One of its most dramatic moments came in 1658 when Swedish troops besieged the castle, leading to the eventual surrender of Bornholm. However, just a year later, local islanders revolted against Swedish rule, reclaiming the island for Denmark in a daring act of defiance. Despite being abandoned in the 18th century and falling into ruin, Hammershus remains an awe-inspiring sight, with its towering walls, gates, and remnants of medieval halls still standing against the rugged coastal backdrop. The castle offers a fascinating glimpse into medieval warfare and island defense strategies. You can explore the ruins, walk along the defensive walls, and enjoy panoramic views of the Baltic Sea. Nearby, a modern visitor center provides interactive exhibits about the castle's history, including 3D reconstructions of what it once looked like. Hammershus is also surrounded by scenic hiking trails, making it a perfect destination for history lovers and outdoor enthusiasts alike. Borgholm Castle, Sweden. Once a grand royal palace, Borgholm Castle is now one of Sweden's most breathtaking ruins, standing as a testament to centuries of war, fire, and royal ambition. Located on the island of Öland, this once mighty fortress dates back to the late 12th century when it was built as a defensive stronghold to protect Sweden's eastern coastline. Over the centuries, Borgholm Castle was repeatedly expanded and rebuilt, reaching its peak under King Charles X Gustav in the 17th century, when it was transformed into an opulent Baroque palace. However, in 1806, a devastating fire reduced the castle to ruins, leaving behind the massive stone walls that still stand today. Despite its ruined state, Borgholm Castle remains a major tourist attraction, offering you the chance to explore its vast courtyards, towering walls, and underground vaults. The castle hosts summer concerts, medieval festivals, and exhibitions on Åland's rich history. With its dramatic cliffside location and hauntingly beautiful ruins, Borgholm Castle is one of Sweden's most atmospheric and historically fascinating sites. Raseborg Castle, Finland. This castle once stood as a powerful center of trade and governance in medieval Finland. Located in western Uusimaa, near modern-day Raseborg, this striking stone fortress was built around 1370 by the Swedish royal governor Bo Johnson Grip to protect Swedish interests and oversee trade in southern Finland. Positioned strategically along medieval trade routes, Raseborg Castle played a crucial role in competing with the Hanseatic League's influence in the Baltic Sea. However, after the rise of Helsinki and Turku as major trade hubs, the castle gradually lost its significance and was abandoned by the late 16th century. Left in ruins for centuries, it became shrouded in legend, with tales of ghostly knights and tragic romances adding to its mystique. Today, Raseborg Castle has been partially restored and is a popular historical attraction, offering a chance to explore its towering walls, underground chambers, and scenic surroundings. The site hosts medieval reenactments, cultural events, and theater performances, bringing its rich history to life. With its picturesque setting and fascinating past, Raseborg Castle remains a must-visit. Carlsten Fortress, Sweden. Did you know that Carlsten Fortress was once considered Sweden's most impenetrable stronghold, guarding the important maritime town of Marstrand? Perched atop the rocky cliffs of Marstrand Island on Sweden's west coast, Carlsten Fortress was built in the mid-17th century to protect the region's thriving shipping trade from pirates and enemy invasions. Construction began in 1658 under King Charles X Gustav, following Sweden's acquisition of Bohuslän from Denmark after the Treaty of Roskilde. Over the next 2 centuries, the fortress was continuously expanded, becoming an imposing stone bastion with thick walls, heavy cannons, and a commanding view of the North Sea. Throughout its history, Carlsten Fortress played a key role in Sweden's military defense, particularly during the Great Northern War, when it withstood multiple Danish attacks. The fortress also served as a notorious prison, housing some of Sweden's most infamous criminals, including Lasse Maja, a legendary thief who disguised himself as a woman to evade capture. Today, you can explore the fortress's underground dungeons, climb its defensive towers, and walk along its vast ramparts while learning about its fascinating history. The fortress also hosts historical reenactments, ghost tours, and the annual Marstrand Regatta. With its breathtaking views of the surrounding archipelago and its rich military heritage, Carlsten Fortress stands as one of Sweden's most remarkable historic landmarks. Kajaani Castle, Finland. The Kajaani Castle is one of Finland's few river fortresses and played a key role in the conflicts between Sweden and Russia. Located on an island in the Kajaani River in central Finland, this fortress was built between 1604 and 1619 under the orders of Swedish King Charles IX. Unlike the grand stone castles of the medieval period, Kajaani Castle was a compact but strategically important stronghold designed to defend Sweden's eastern frontier. It served as a military outpost, a prison, and an administrative center for the region. One of its most dramatic moments came during the Great Northern War from 1700 to 1721, when Russian forces besieged the castle for 5 months in 1716. Eventually, the defenders, weakened by starvation and isolation, surrendered, and the Russians destroyed the fortress, leaving it in ruins. Today, the remnants of Kajaani Castle stand as a historical landmark, with preserved foundations and restored sections offering insight into Finland's turbulent past. You can walk among the ruins, learn about the castle's history through informational displays, and enjoy the scenic beauty of the surrounding river. The site is a fascinating glimpse into Finland's military history and a reminder of the country's strategic importance in Northern Europe. The Royal Palace, Norway. Located at the end of Oslo's famous Karl Johans Gate, the Royal Palace is the official residence of the Norwegian monarch. Built in the 19th century for King Charles III John of the Swedish-Norwegian Union, the palace stands as a symbol of national unity and royal tradition. Designed in a neoclassical style with a grand yellow facade and columned front, the Royal Palace may appear modest compared to other European palaces, but its elegance lies in its simplicity. It has 173 rooms and is still used for state ceremonies, formal events, and royal audiences. Every day, visitors gather outside to watch the changing of the guard, and during summer, the palace opens its doors for guided tours of its stately interiors, including the Bird Room, Mirror Hall, and the majestic Banquet Hall. Surrounded by the beautiful Palace Park, the Royal Palace is not just a seat of power, but also a serene cultural landmark at the heart of modern Oslo. Amalienborg Palace, Denmark. Amalienborg Palace in Copenhagen isn't just a magnificent Rococo-style complex. It's the official residence of the Danish royal family and one of the best places in the world to witness a modern monarchy in action. Built in the 1750s, the palace consists of 4 nearly identical mansions surrounding an octagonal courtyard, all designed by architect Nikolai Egeskov as part of King Frederick V's grand vision for a new, elegant district of Copenhagen. Originally intended as aristocratic residences, the palace became a royal home in 1794 after a devastating fire destroyed Christiansborg Palace. Since then, it has been the center of Danish royal life, witnessing countless historical events, including the occupation of Denmark during Second World War, when King Christian X defiantly rode his horse through the streets of Copenhagen as a silent protest against the German forces. One of Amalienborg's most iconic traditions is the daily changing of the Royal Guard, a spectacle where soldiers in blue uniforms and bearskin hats march through the city before performing a ceremonial shift at noon. You can explore the Amalienborg Museum or enjoy stunning views of the Frederiksborg Church, which located near the waterfront, with a direct sightline to the Copenhagen Opera House. Frederiksberg Palace, Denmark. This palace was originally built as a lavish summer retreat for Denmark's royals, but later became a prestigious military academy. Perched on Velby Hill in Copenhagen, this stunning Italian Baroque-style palace was commissioned by King Frederick IV in 1699, after he was inspired by his travels to Italy, and was the permanent home of King Christian VI. The palace evolved over the years, with elegant expansions transforming it into one of the most refined royal residences of its time. It remained a favored retreat for Danish monarchs until the early 19th century, when it was repurposed as the Royal Danish Military Academy in 1869, a function it still serves today. The palace has witnessed key historical moments, including state meetings and diplomatic gatherings, as well as its connection to the Napoleonic Wars when Denmark sought to maintain its neutrality. Although the palace itself is not open to the public due to its military function, you can still admire its grand exterior and explore the beautiful Frederiksberg Gardens, one of Copenhagen's most picturesque green spaces. There are guided tours at Frederiksborg Castle on the last Saturday of each month. You can visit Frederiksborg Castle's website for more information about guided tours for groups. Designed in the English landscape style, the gardens feature winding canals, romantic bridges, hidden grottos, and even a Chinese pavilion. Nearby, the Copenhagen Zoo, one of the oldest in Europe, offers another attraction for you. Christiansborg Palace, Denmark. This is the only building in the world that houses all three branches of a nation's government, the executive, legislative, and judicial, while also being a former royal residence. Located on the small island of Slotsholmen in central Copenhagen, Christiansborg Palace has been the heart of Danish power for centuries. The current palace, completed in 1928, is the third iteration of the structure, as the previous two were destroyed by devastating fires in 1794 and 1884. Originally built in the 18th century by King Christian VI, Christiansborg was intended to be the grandest royal palace in Denmark, showcasing the absolute power of the monarchy. However, after the 1794 fire, the royal family moved to Amalienborg, and Christiansborg gradually became the seat of government. Today, it houses the Danish Parliament, the Supreme Court, and the Prime Minister's office, making it the epicenter of Danish politics. You can also explore the palace's underground ruins, which reveal remnants of the original medieval Copenhagen castle that stood on the site before Christiansborg was built. Kastellet, Stockholm, Sweden. Stockholm's Kastellet may be one of Sweden's smaller fortresses, but it has a mighty history as a key defensive stronghold for the capital. Perched on Kastelholmen, a small island in central Stockholm, this iconic red fortress with its distinctive Swedish flag was originally built in 1667 to strengthen Sweden's naval defenses. However, the original structure was destroyed in an explosion in 1845 and was subsequently rebuilt in 1848 in its current form. Throughout history, Kastellet played a vital role in Sweden's coastal defense strategy, guarding Stockholm's harbor against potential invasions. While the fortress is no longer in military use, it remains an important symbol of Sweden's naval heritage. Today, you can explore Kastellet as part of walking tours around Kastelholmen, enjoying scenic views of Stockholm's historic waterfront. Although the fortress itself is not always open to the public, the island offers peaceful walking paths, historic naval buildings, and a glimpse into Sweden's maritime past. Kastellet continues to serve as a ceremonial landmark, with the Swedish military tradition of raising the flag every morning to symbolize that Sweden is at peace. Malmo Castle, Sweden. This castle may look peaceful today, but it has been at the center of some of the most turbulent moments in Scandinavian history. Located in the heart of Malmo, this 16th century fortress was built by the Danish King Christian III in 1530 to strengthen Denmark's control over the region. It played a crucial role in the wars between Denmark and Sweden, frequently changing hands between the two nations until Sweden ultimately took control in 1658 after the Treaty of Roskilde. The castle also served as a royal residence, a prison, and even a mint for coin production. One of its most infamous prisoners was the deposed Queen Christina's secretary, Monaldeschi, who was executed under mysterious circumstances. Today, Malmo Castle houses several museums, including the Malmo Art Museum, the Natural History Museum, and exhibitions on the city's medieval history. You can explore its medieval towers, dungeons, and historical artifacts while also enjoying its beautiful location within Kungsparken, Malmö's largest park. Landskrona Fortress, Sweden. Also known as the Red Castle, was built by the Danish King Christian III in 1549 as one of Scandinavia's strongest fortresses. Strategically located on Sweden's southwestern coast, this imposing red brick fortress was originally designed to protect Denmark's territories before Sweden took control of the region in the 17th century. Landskrona played a key role in the wars between Denmark and Sweden, enduring multiple sieges, including the Scanian War from 1675 to 1679, when the Swedish forces successfully defended it against Danish attacks. The castle's massive bastions, moats, and defensive walls make it one of the best preserved examples of Renaissance military architecture in Scandinavia. Over the years, Landskrona Slott has served as a fortress, a military prison, and even a storage site for war supplies. Today, you can walk along the castle's impressive ramparts, explore its deep moats, and learn about its fascinating military history through interactive exhibits. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the majestic castles of the Nordic region, where history, architecture, and legends. If you enjoyed this glimpse into the North's royal past, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating travel and history content from around the world. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy travels.